Super Puzzle Fighter IIX hit the Japanese arcades in 1996, running on Capcom's CPS-2 arcade system. The game's title is a parody of Super Street Fighter IIX, or Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo as it was known in the West. This explains why there is no Super Puzzle Fighter 1. Fans of Sega's Baku Baku Animal will feel right at home with Super Puzzle Fighter 2, as it's basically a clone of that game with some original ideas. The game works as follows. Gems that drop down into a pit-like playfield can be combined to each other to form a Mega Gem. However, these Mega Gems and any other gem of the same colour connected to it, or a smaller gem of the same colour, can only be eliminated by coming into contact with a Crash Gem of the same colour. When gems are eliminated, garbage blocks called counter gems drop into the opponent's playfield. These will eventually become normal gems, but only after they count down to 0. Most counter gems start at 5 and are reduced by 1 each time a new pair of gems is dropped onto the play area. The only way to eliminate counter gems before they become normal gems is to place a Crash Gem of that colour nearby, so it eliminates at least one normal gem. If this is done, all counter gems immediately adjacent to the Crash Gem will be taken out as well. The only other piece to appear in the game is a diamond, which eliminates all the gems, normal, power, counter and crash alike, of whichever colour gem it lands on. Approximately 6 months after Super Puzzle Fighter appeared in the arcade, the Sega Saturn port was released. Being the first port doesn't mean it's a plain arcade port, mind you. Street Puzzle and Expert modes have been added, as well as additional colours for characters, sound tests for characters, illustrations, and the theme song, I Want to Convey This Feeling, sung by Sakura, Yuko Sasamoto, have been added. Oh, and let's not forget the 2 bonus characters. Who are they? Well, you'll have to play to find out. Graphically, the Saturn port is pretty much the same as the arcade in terms of colour and animation. The central screen area where the characters fight is a bit narrower than the arcade version, mind you. The BGM also doesn't alter like the arcade game, but we now do have the option of an arranged soundtrack. All in all, this is a fantastic port. PlayStation version is pretty much the same as the Saturn version. Nothing much more to say really. In March of 1997 came the Windows 95-98 port. This is a real pain to get running on a modern PC though. At first it ran full speed but with messed up colour. Fix the colour only to break the speed. No matter what setting used, this just would not work, so I'm afraid we can't include it in the end comparison. I can tell you that it runs pretty much like the PlayStation game, but with even more loading. That is odd considering how much memory even a cheap PC had back in 1997. Sold only in Japan from the 5th of July 2001 came the Dreamcast port. Known as Super Puzzle Fighter IIX for matching service due to its online versus mode. This was one of the many Japanese Capcom releases that saw a very good online service. As to be expected, this is basically arcade perfect with 0 load times, but it is more than a straight port. As well as the base X mode, Y and Z modes were added to the game rules. In addition, you can practice counter gem attack pattern arrangements in the counter gem edit mode, as well as the basic training modes being available and a gallery mode showing high resolution images of the arcade promotional art. There are a few mobile versions of Puzzle Fighter 2, but we are taking a look at the Western version released by Capcom themselves. This version is rather well done, although due to screen real estate being far less on an old phone, we no longer have both player gem walls on screen at once. Instead, the CPU's progression is shown as a type of energy bar at the bottom of the screen. Sadly, this port seems to just play one section of the music, then fall silent. Quite a shame, since what we do get to hear is quite good. The game plays well, although there is a massive amount of animation cut from this version. Some of it isn't too bad, however the omission of enemy blocks falling is really off-putting. Now they just appear out of nowhere. Still, even with this, the game is fun to play. Next up is the Game Boy Advance version developed by Atomic Planet, and it is easily by far the worst port yet. Yes, worse than the Java mobile phone version. It's a very lazy port. All the art has been poorly digitized from the arcade game, giving a very nasty low quality JPEG look to the graphics. The animation is cut quite a lot too, but the worst part of this port is how it plays. For the start, the movement of the gems is not smooth, as I'm sure you can see. Also, those more familiar with the game will also notice the distribution of the gems is all wrong. Far too many explosive gems are given at one point. Then we have the typical horrid, shrill GBA audio. Yep, it's back again. I can imagine this could have been a much better port had it been handled by a better developer. February 6, 2007 saw the release of the Capcom Puzzle World for the PSP. This also contained a port of Super Puzzle Fighter 2, and a very good port at that. It's based upon the Japanese Dreamcast matching service version and even contains the same illustration section. I also love that we now have the option to watch all the cutscenes without having to play through the game. This is quite comical. Sadly, this port is missing the opening and end of game section where your score gets tallied up. Why these parts were missing, I don't know, but it is a shame they are. Still, if you want to play Super Puzzle Fighter 2 on the move, this is the way to do it. And the final part we're going to take a look at came out for the Xbox 360 and the PS3 on the 29th of August 2007 by Backbone Entertainment. And yes, like everything Backbone Entertainment touched, it has issues. So the first thing we need to address is that this game is known as Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo HD. And yes, all the graphics have been redrawn in HD, apart from one asset, and it's arguably the most important one: the animated fighters. Yes, these are really low resolution sprites with a very, and I mean very, poor filter applied to them. They look bloody awful. Why on earth go to all the effort to redraw everything and add extra special effects to the gems, yet leave one of the most important parts of the game looking like shit? Gameplay wise, all is fine. There's even a special X- mode for more balanced two-player fun. Sadly, just like the PSP version, this is missing the introduction and score chart. And let's take a look at all those versions of Super Puzzle Fighter IIX running side by side.